Hello. Today is the third anniversary of my sister's death and also her birthday. If she had lived, she would be 37 today. Yeah, she would have been 37. She died on her 34th birthday, and I am now 34. And that, strikes me as a strange situation where I now have more life on this earth than she ever did. And anyways, on that exciting and happy note, I feel that Like Warm Plastic really belongs to the whole stage in my life tied to her death and the time that came thereafter. So I've decided that today I would read some of the poems from this book. You know, I don't think that anyone really has to apologize for their grief or grieving process. So I will try my best to not do that. But I do just want to say that my sister, Diana Marcela Grisales Pedersen Vance Young, was an incredibly explosive and lively person. And this book doesn't think about that at all. It's very focused on the experience of going to watch her die and the grief that comes after. So I don't think that it's a very fair portrayal of her as a person, and that she probably deserves a much happier memory. But that's not really what this book is about. This book is a very selfish book about my process with her death. So I just wanted to put it out there that Diana was a bubbly, laughing, singing, beautiful person. And the poems about her here are very much not about her. They're very much about me. So don't take them to be my de facto understanding of my sister and the person that she was. Just my experience with her death. All right. Well, thank you for being here and enjoy. The Dead Sister 1. I'm sorry I didn't prepare you to see her, unshifting and unalive, this corpse of her. She's no more than yesterday, but always less. How to warn you? When her hands hold, do not rub the body. She could die still faster. Unfixable skin. This plastic is warm, but it cannot speak. It used to. We'd pull the strings for hours, and she'd manage sounds for us, or so I'm told. It was before I came, before I saw it myself. And she looks with her longing at the face of a brother she never knew. I'm sorry to be a disappointment in your final days, someone with nothing to say. Not like we had passage to give. Is it easier if you were a corpse before I arrived? If I didn't remember you alive any more than we did another? Not pretending, just forgetting. The shush breaths as you are forced alive, and my dad, so kind to your body, even if we knew you were alive, could hear, could think. What's the point? Can we alleviate the leaving? Was that helpful in your last? That I said I'd see you later, like we'd spoken in years? God, and my brother crying, trying just to see you, and me finally feeling a loss through him, and my aunt hoping to speak to you, but me going in to be there to make it okay. If it was just us, I could have ferried you over. Not because I'm strong, but because I'm ready to die. And a bit jealous. How many times will I say that? Just breathing each day and deciding to keep the heart beating out of duty and spite. Oof. The Dead Sister 3. I was changing to me when you died, and while you crisped to flake, to ash, I unbecame, stripped away the hair I'd grown, the self I had drawn, forgot what I was learning, to become the bones of my body as you. You said, do all things with love, or it's what I remember now from the sign with your face and those words from your celebration of life, not a funeral. I thought it was who I was to be bare, but when you're reduced to ash, you lose all the life you had. You collapsed, and I've wondered where the parts of you went still. Are these ashes I keep your hand, which held your children, which fed your body, which pleased your men, which drove your car, which wiped your ass, which lived for you? Or is this your elbow? Did I get the best parts or the remainders, begging for the good cuts of meat at the table? Your sons' names on your shoulders, dead now, burnt off. Did they get to keep their names in your ashes? I wanted to be loved, and you reminded me that I was supposed to be human with other people. So I tore myself naked and tried, and while I found I only wanted to build me again. Obsessive construction, for to be making is to have something new every day, and I rot when I do not shift. The Dead Sister, 9. The night before she died, beside her husk, I know this end as honestly as shallow breaths. Hiss, the lights in the apartment strain with the weight of her life. Imagine leaving before she ends, but I did. Things aren't as romantic by the body, warm and alive still. I haven't done anything, trauma tourist. Not about being useful or irresponsible, just without responsibilities. An extra burden and needy and hungry and tired, and give me a bed, a room, a thought space. I could use a drink, and so can he, and I'm bothered, and I could use a slip drink, a falling hole, a precious engagement. Could use a hard hold, a hot fall into skin patiently, sliding in or out of any he, desperate and tired and drink, and a need to tell people I'm hungry like this. Sorry, my brother, it can be quietly wanting like that. I've had 2 puberties, now a third. Desperation and desire, and how cleanly I can be here, pissing with the door open. What an option. And 400 memories figure us a place to talk. Brotherly nonsense, a place which I've returned. Because libido leads to escape. Such impatience for love and hope. I can wet my lips and whistle poorly and comment on the sports that he'd need to be a bottom for it to work. And ha, ha, people are always so sure they want to know things. Such density to these questions, viscous and uncomfortable as much as it's curious. And we all go squeamish at our own wonder. And I'm so ready to have forgot. When he orders us 3 shots, we let the third one sit, and I wonder if they know to leave it until we're gone. The Dead Sister, 10. There are peaceful ways to die, and they are quick and sudden. There's a rot with waiting, a forgotten cold room we don't talk about. You should talk to her, we say, knowing we don't know if she knows anything. In her eyes, I see a quiet future we can't speak about. So many regrets and uncertainties no one can know. She's not quiet, she's tired, she's done, she's quiet. Quiet in the back room, and we laugh and we reminisce and we forget her pumping breaths, so sudden and clinging to the oxygen she misses or doesn't want as she pulls the breath away from her while she can still move. And she doesn't today move or open her eyes or almost breathe. In her dark room, I try to match her breaths and gasp, unable to live on the edge with her. And I know it will be soon, because that is not enough air to do anything but subsist. A failure to live, never of her making, 13 and 6, I can't forget the sobs of them knowing her 2 reasons to hate this. To be unable to rest and feel an easy release, and my jealousy of her fitful escape, but not like this. I've been ready to die, but not like this. The first time I couldn't understand how we could live this way. The Lover 1. I love your hands, your heart, your small dances and voices, how you made me feel wanted. Every month that passes, you tell me a new lie I believed during our time together. Once I stop believing you ever wanted me, the question remains, do I still love your hands? I told you I'd never leave you. You said later you didn't realize I meant it. After 2 years of me staying by your side, you released me from the promise. What do I do with freedom from something I never wanted out of? I was here by choice. Where do you want me to go? And you didn't even die. I will watch you live from a distance then, wonder why I want, making choices outside the sun, and keep trying. The dead shape. I share this with you now, forms of us that are gone, the shape and memory. I see you moving in the silhouette you knew. I threw it away with the title. Even now, I'm not the one I was. These photos you have of us are painful to see. The me who hated being alive, and somehow I've rejoined myself with these parts. I see the body laid out where I left him. I'm so sorry we never tried, any of us. Your soft skin and hair, you yearned to be a woman, but kept the man shape. We didn't know yet, but there are forms we could love, even for us. This limp body never knew what it could do. I can climb now, lift our weight with just my arms if I have to. We can fuck and be fucked and lift and be lifted, and we want to be touched. It's not the manager when we were 16 or the girls who didn't allow, no. It's ours now. We get to hold and let ourselves be held, and it's beautiful. And none of these bodies know what I'm talking about because they're dead, or the dead don't know anything. But I'm still crying when I tell you because you would have loved to hear. This poem is Pup Play, and I don't think it's really finished, but I still wanted to read it because I have art for the broadside for it. Pup Play. I needed to be seen, not touched, until I wanted to be touched and not seen. So I wear this hood over my face and become base. I'm a thing now. The TVs say gear is not consent. They say do not touch them without asking. But they do, and I want them to. I crawl the floor and beg, a creature, for attention, gummy waving tail wagging. A dog must have a tail. I need to know none of you matter but the parts I touch and am touched. New skin every night and throbbing bones and tight fabric. To know I made it that way and I lose any shame. I was afraid to be touched for decades. Now I don't care who does. It's the point of the thing. This choice to be debased, dumb and quiet panting. I'm here in public, hard, rubbing, and there's sheer fabric between the us we want to share. And here it's safe, it's good, it's laughed off. Decades of shame at the door, and maybe we take it back when we leave. I won't. I walk into the bar with my harness and collar, tail waving. The blue round glasses. Drinking alone is like a cruise, adrift 2 blocks from home and so alone. The cute waiter found my missing lens, so the frames are broke. No more glasses. When I was 12, I had a pair like them, blue and round, and you two hated them. I wore them all the time, day or night. And in the Ripley, Believe It or Not Museum in New Orleans, you let me set and forget them. These ones look just like them, and now they're dead, like you. Hard not to think of things ending their use as a method of dying. And update. Found the frame's missing screw. Maybe this I can fix. Ghost ride the Gurney. You can't always make something pretty. Afraid after all to watch it go. Look at those bones falling out the bag and onlookers gawking. God give her the grace to beat her face and run the streets again, and we can rock her bed, ghost ride her down the promenade to Walgreens tucked behind the hedges and down to Uncle Al's, the only open bar in this hell designed by a Disney park planner. Weston, where you die, where moats and golf and plans live without you. And we could wet her lips with something she'd like, and how the kids would cry if we don't get her home soon. Not trying to lie to anyone that she's my sister or her skin my blood, so at least one more round if we can. It's a whole nother mile and joint before we can sleep. Give direction to the lost tourists, pretend that we know, but that's when we leave the bar and we don't just yet. One more, please. Sweat-ridden and bored of grief. Who do I owe this drink to? I've got $100 in my wallet and I don't need change. Keep the details, it's just easier. Diana Marcela Grisales Pedersen Vance Young. You have a name. It's actually quite a few names, I guess. Adopted, adoptive mother hoping to pass on a dying name, married but divorced, and your son's last name, Tindril. You were a name bomb. Vance didn't survive, I suppose. I'm sorry, Karen. If Diana had a daughter, maybe try to pass it down that way. How many names die out like this? My stepmother and her sister, the last of their names, no heirs left. And this is supposed to be about Diana. I was 8 when you came home from Colombia, 11. I told Karen I didn't want a sister. I was 7. You lived with Dad and Karen. I lived with you only Wednesday and Thursday and the other weekends. You left home at 16, and those 5 years, I don't know that I ever came to know you, understand you. I'm sorry you had to give away your first child. I know the weight of that made it a non-question when you became pregnant again. Braylon would be yours. Then Camilo, 13 and 6 when you died. I'm sorry. Everyone always told me about how family was the most important thing to you. Touring your tomb, I see it. The photos of me and Christian, of Dad and Karen. They really meant that you meant it. Still, we didn't talk. I would go years forgetting I had a sister. Our parents always thought we were fighting, even when we were speaking. So we learned to not speak, and we never unlearned that. We could speak at dinner, then we never did again. You were in school, gaining new skills, getting new jobs, raising 2 boys. You were good to them, unless you threatened to hit them, unless you ignored them. But a mom alone. I wonder how my mom did it. I'm not judging it. I've never understood it. You raised them Catholic somehow. I wonder if it matters to them. I know them barely more or less than I knew you, and I'm sorry for that. At your celebration of life, don't call it a funeral. There was an open space for people to share, speak. Neither of your brothers spoke. What would we have said? Your adopted siblings who spent half their lives at a mom's house you hardly knew. You'd ask Dad and Karen why we weren't home for Christmas, or so I was told by them. How did I grow up beside you, but know you at best like a biography? Always what others told me, you said, you thought. How are the most pressing memories now that you were a corpse in a bed, pumped alive for us to say goodbye? How do I remember your home as your tomb, your children as orphans? How is my only real ode to you a book about you not being here? I don't regret any of this. I was just a kid too. A sad fucking kid, and I don't remember much of that clearly anymore now. When you went back to Colombia, an adult, saw your mother's bones crushed to dust, saw your siblings by blood, found out your birthday was wrong, did you find mooring there? Did you wonder how things could have been if you'd never left? If your father had been there, your mother was more than bones and dust. I always wondered, how did you end up here? Was 23 years of life here what you wanted? We were blessed to have given her a better life. I hear the promise and reasoning for what it means to lose someone, the savior narrative and mourning parents. So many questions in our last time together you couldn't speak. I wonder if you heard. Wait up if you can. I'm sure the wait isn't long if there's a place to wait. I'd like to know you. Vanessa. Dawned, not lived, not born, and yet these nails, this grace, I've needed this delicate movement, mounting my heart in a black wire cage, spined and violent, displayed, not protected, warning, these red thorns, my wound open to see a threat display. Wrapped in black fragments of fabric, I once said my gender, a graveyard wraith, and meant it. Have you considered drag a costume? This is my body draped over my corpse. This name dead, this body dead. My skin black cotton, leather, spandex, my nails matte black, my hair tragic dark brown, hands, talons. I was becoming me when you died, sister. You almost met me. Paths veered, you met brother dead name once more, then you died. I never brought a man home for you to meet, I whined, but you never even met me. Lost in this pandemic cocoon, no one met me. Then I threw me away. Vanessa, curled into her coffin, heard at the mechanic, heard at the DMV, seen on a check, a contract. Omens of her coming, prophecies and prayers, her figure on the altar. I lie her breasts as muscle, I lie her delicate hands to climb, but even a week away from the task, the dead skin peels off the softest hands, and they are rose petals again, belie the woman in them. I will look in the mirror and love him, and the closet will lay open and dark. The light drinks into the black, hanging dresses and cloaks, a night of their own. A hoary dark heart that doesn't beat. She was never alive. Undead countess, she will be patient forever, and I will wonder at my skin in this reflection. When will it shift here? There? A cold hunger too patient that scares me. Always a constant morphic desire. Hearing and useless. Stitching my flesh to yours, a meaningless process, the pull of the skin as we part, slitch. Divest myself of your you-ness, you ask me. I try to undo me from you. You tell me not to leave, but also I'm relieved from my duty to you, from being there for you. I'm asked to leave and stay. I'm asked to change and unchange, but I thought I'd stayed the same. I wanted to tell you the things I love about you on my birthday, and you said you'd rather hear your new boyfriend tell you, and you made me cry. I was second to him even then, second to not being there at all. I have never been loved, and that's not a whine, it's a realization, and I love too easily. But this bearing is taken with ease. I will redirect myself somewhere better and still change course for you. Love and hate the same spectrum, sliding deeper to the overlap, wanting you and despising you, and the humor is the wanting is in vain, better served in the hate then. And I didn't want that. I'll ask again for you to come home, and you'll say again, as you have every time, there never was a home, and I'll keep rebuilding it alone, hearing and useless. The drink, 7. Like need isn't constant, and like this Jack and Coke didn't slip in one too many already, and like that I'm drunk enough to spend time with myself. Am I so unlikable? Just going through some stuff, I chant and breathe as I lose it. So join us now on Backer Kit as we fund Like Warm Plastic, a poetry collection about loss, sex, gender, kink, and identity. And happy birthday, Diana. Do you imagine still out in the Everdream? Do you keep going, or is it an echo chamber of everything you already knew? On her 34th of all, and I'm 34 now too. Made you my sin vessel to hold all my problems, but I'm as many years on earth as you ever were, minus the weeks and weeks the cancer and stroke took. Do you think I know more than I did when I began? You haven't come back from passing yet. Suppose passing by is never a promise to return. Like a lovely highway diner wondering, will this one come back? But no, that gets to be us. If heaven is real, big ask. I hope she's doing something better than wasting her time seeing what I'm doing.